right, welcome back. Thank you once again for joining us this morning. As I mentioned earlier, we're bringing you a special debate here. As you know, over the last few days, there have been huge uproars over the Penny Sparrow comments. There's since been a snowball effect where a number of people have made headlines of late for racist comments. And that's what we're talking about today, racism. We are now joined by Mr. Mlondi Mkhize, representing the ANC Youth League. He joins our guest in Cape Town, Phumzile Van Damme, who is the DA national spokesperson, as well as Benz, Mabengwane, who is representing the economic freedom fighters. Let's go straight to you. We did have the opening comments. Unfortunately, you missed those, but let's go into the fray and speak now about how 21 years of democracy, a little over than that, we are still experiencing racism. Many people are saying that it's because the ANC did not make sure that the perpetrators fully recognize the crime that they committed before they were granted forgiveness. What do you say?
Well, I would like to first greet the viewers at home and yourselves and the guests that we have in the studio and those that are in Cape Town. First of all, I think we must realize and acknowledge the fact that the democratic breakthrough in South Africa did not necessarily mean that we had achieved almost everything that we wanted to achieve, but it was very important for us as the nation to ensure that the franchise to vote was more than necessary for everything to determine the democratic government of the day. And that democratic government of the day had to then speed up the process of ensuring that the transformation of government as a whole in the nation was adhered to. As a result of that, we had seen a slow process. We must acknowledge the fact that when you speak about racism, you speak frequently and more about a feeling of individuals and persons, more than the willingness of people to come together in the call for reconciliation of the nation. You would acknowledge that during the TRC process, there are many people who were requested to come before the TRC, but they did not. But you'll remember equally that the TRC was a process that required people to volunteer to come before the TRC to speak about the wrongs that they've done before the nation in defense of whatever they believed in. And whoever wants to suggest that the African National Congress is responsible for the racism that lives in the country today is someone whose comments and thinking is misplaced, given the realities that we live under in South Africa.
Would you acknowledge, though, that the governing party did not level the playing field so that we can be perceived as equals in the boardroom and in other spheres of society, and that perhaps that was a contributor to black people being seen as less than by their white counterparts?
Look, there are more important issues that we need to deal with as a nation. Amongst those is that colonization did not only impact on those that were colonized, but equally impacted on those that were colonizing the colonized. But those that were colonized equally had been corrupted in their minds and their thinking set to believe that white supremacy was the order of the day. Whilst we must speak about those that are racist today, but we must equally speak about those that still, who are black, Indian, coloreds, who carry the notion that white supremacy is the solution to many problems that confront South Africa. And I believe that if we were to engage frankly on that debate, you then realize that what we are engaging on as South Africa is much more a broader debate than the debate of whether the African National Congress did compromise or did not compromise. But what is more important is that when you speak about the compromises that were made, the sunset clauses that were made, you need to put in context the conditions that prevailed in South Africa at that time.
Benz, are you guilty of cheap political point scoring, especially, as I mentioned just before the break, democracies as mature in terms of age as the US are still dealing with race relations? So this is something that can't be dealt with superficially. Is the economic freedom fighters and perhaps other political parties just coming down hard on the ANC for something over which they have no control?
We are the organization of the future. We are the organization of tomorrow. And we are the only political party in the country during the election manifesto that we have indicated that racism must be criminalized. And having said this, it is because we knew as the organization of tomorrow that should we not confront this problem accordingly, South Africa is going to be in a crisis. We can never say tomorrow that we are blaming the ANC for no apparent reason. We have seen it taking place in Marikana under the government of the ANC. They are protecting the white monopoly capital. We have seen them. A company from London called Lonmin, they are having a mine in Marikana and Rustenburg. Our people were killed there because the life of a black man is cheap. They always do it. It is an instruction of the ANC that our people will be massacred when they stand up to stand for their own rights. So we are not coming out with any political chip scoring mechanism. What are we benefiting out of this? Because it is apparent. The report tabled by the Van Damme Commission states very clear. The role of Cyril Ramaphosa, the role of Nathi Mthethwa, the role of Susan Shabangu, the role of a suspended police commissioner reappear.
Let's bring in what you said a moment or two ago, that you are wanting racism to be criminalized. The measures that are in place now that do, one might say, criminalize it, criminal injuria, as Phumzile Van Damme mentioned a little bit earlier, that those are the charges that they're pursuing against Penny Sparrow. What is wrong with status quo, do you think, in your personal opinion, that we cannot fix with, with the means that we have now? I mean, we have the Human Rights Commission, a number of avenues to which people are supposed to report if they have been victims of racism.
That is not enough. People uttering racial statements, attacking others, they must be locked up. We must build a society that is going to respond to the challenges facing South Africa today. That is why I was even raising it a few minutes ago, that we still have Barnard in Parliament. Why keep a racist in Parliament when we've got people that you know very well, that they're ones who are perpetuating racism in an institution that supports and stands against any kind of racism?
Let's put that question to the Democratic Alliance and find out why Diane Barnard still is in Parliament. She's been expelled from the party, but still remains a member of Parliament representing the DA. There's been one notion that suggests that racism is in the DNA of the DA, and although the pictures that we may see may represent unity and various people from different races and various ethnicities, but that behind the scenes, those who are really controlling matters still have racism embedded in their mindset. Is this a notion that the DA does believe that can be a possibility for their party, or are you rubbishing that?
It's the very idea that a political party can be racist is one that I find very difficult. Who is racist? Is it me? Is it the leader of the DA? Is it the members of the DA? Is it the personality of the party to be racist? Because the answer to all those questions is a no. I think as a country we need to stop this thing of pretending that racism only exists in specific enclaves. Racism is everywhere. There are racists in the EFF, there are racists in the ANC. As an example, there was a member of the EFF in Parliament who stood up and told one of my colleagues that they need to start speaking like a black person. I mean, that is based on the belief that black people are homogenous, black people are supposed to act in a specific way, and that sort of thinking is racist. So we need to stop thinking that racism only exists in enclaves. It is everywhere.
What are you making of the Diane Barnard matter, that racism is institutionalized in the country, and therefore we're seeing her still remain in a very public position as a member of Parliament?
Well, Diane said that when she shared that Facebook post, you must remember she wasn't the author of it, she didn't write it, she merely shared it. She said that she hadn't read it properly because on Facebook there's a little section where you click read more, and the section about PW Botha was at the bottom of that. So she said she made a mistake, she apologized, and she really hasn't escaped with a mere slap on the wrist. She has had a suspended termination, which means that if she makes another infringement, she will be her membership will be terminated.
All right, let's leave it there, at least for now. We're going to take a quick ad break, and when we come back, I'd like to take a look at the where to now factor. What do we do about all this that has come to the fore? We've raised the issues, we've spoken about the areas of concern. What do we do about them? All that and more in just a moment. Stay with us.